up, and welcome to 5280 Film Room.
We're a Colorado sports podcast by fans for fans.
Please subscribe, rate, and review, and also follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
You can also email us your input, questions, and ideas at 5280filmroom@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening. What's up, Colorado sports fans? I'm Alyssa.
And I'm Jordan.
And we are coming at you with a little midweek super random podcast. We will be with the full crew again for our big podcast on Sunday, but there is just too much going on not to talk about it. So we are going to cover a little bit of everything this evening as quick as we can. We both have to get up early for work tomorrow, but we want to talk a little Broncos, Avs, Nuggets, and Rockies as it's been an incredibly eventful week. Kicking things off with the Broncos. It is the NFL draft tonight, and Broncos had the 10th overall pick in the first round. Breaking news, dun dun dun.
And they traded it.
Which
I think it was a good move. Coming into the draft, I was hoping they would either get a quarterback with that 10th pick or trade back.
I was not surprised by it. I don't really, to be totally honest, I don't really feel one way or the other about it. I've stopped getting emotionally invested in things that John Elway has decision control over.
Well, I'm assuming Fant was their guy that they wanted to get. That's why they traded back. But I'm surprised that they traded back so far. Because Hawkinson went with the 9 pick.
I think Hawkinson is who they wanted.
Yeah.
And then when they couldn't get Hawkinson, they had to kind of feel out. I'm not saying they had to take any trade they can get, but they had to find an adequate trade partner that would still put them in a position to get Fant within the first round. And they did that. If that was the plan, it succeeded.
Well, I like it because Hawkinson may have been their number one guy, but I don't know who's better, Hawkinson or Fant. Considering they played on the same team, they had identical stats in college practically. I mean, Hawkinson, he projects more of a blocking tight end and a receiving tight end, so he'd be more like a Rob Gronkowski, but Fant would be more like a Jimmy Graham, where he's just a athletic freak.
Okay,
But
I mean, and
blocking
I think
is a weak point.
I'm not okay with that. He's going to have to get better at that.
In today's NFL, you don't really need to block as a tight end to make money.
And I guess and we'll see how things operate within the Rich Scangarello offense. But Joe Flacco is known for targeting tight ends and really relying upon them pretty heavily in his approach to playing the game. So hopefully Fant can fill that role because we have just had the most inconsistent up and down, not even up and down, inconsistent and just mediocre tight end performances over the last multiple years.
It's just sad that I've missed Julius Thomas for the last couple of years.
Julius Thomas is not even that good without Peyton Manning.
No.
But yeah.
He's a lot better than what we've had lately, though.
It's been rough. I guess I'm hopeful. I don't know. I have a hard time like really emotionally investing in the draft because no one freaking knows anything.
No.
It's all speculation. It's all hit and miss. It's literally I don't put a whole lot of stock in it, to be perfectly honest.
When they spend so much money and so much time on scouting and, half the first round draft picks are busts.
Oh yeah.
It's like you never really know.
And I mean, I guess what I'll probably take the most stake in is who the Broncos take at 52. So they traded away the number 10 pick for the 20 pick of the first round, and then they also got the second round pick from the Steelers, which is the 52nd pick overall, and next year's third round pick.
Well, what position would you want to see them take with that 52nd pick? What do you think?
I don't know.
Okay, because they have the...
What do you want?
Because they have, the 42nd pick and the 52nd pick, right?
Yeah, and from what I've heard, at least, like, this draft is supposedly pretty deep with kind of hidden gems within the second, third, and fourth rounds. So
Especially
they could make some huge picks.
That's why I'm glad that they didn't take a defensive player in the first round, because everything I've been hearing is that this draft is just loaded with defensive talent. So
Right.
you can get two really good defensive players in the second round.
I also feel like, and I don't really care if it's second, third, fourth, whatever. We need to get some. We need to acquire some depth on our offensive line within this draft.
Definitely.
We have to.
And I think that will be one of the two picks in the second round.
I
They
hope
could even
so.
package those picks and move back up into the first round if they wanted to tonight.
Yeah, that's
We're
true.
broadcasting as we're watching the draft, so we don't know how the first round is going to end up. Because having the 42nd
No.
and the 52nd, you could move back up into the end of the first round with that.
I mean that. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Isn't Greedy Williams still out there?
No.
No?
No.
Oh.
No. He went quite a long time ago. Hold on.
Okay.
Now I have to Google it.
So I didn't pay attention from like 11 to
Yeah,
19.
it's been a little tough because we've got the Nuggets in Game 6 and the draft happening at the same time.
Double screens.
I don't
Well,
know when
it's
he
like,
got
oh,
taken.
they're showing
It was
the list.
It was early though.
Was it? No, of course they stopped. Because he wasn't taken in the top 10. I don't remember seeing that.
Am I crazy? Am I totally making this up? Because we've been watching too many things at once.
So I could see that if he's still available, I could see them trying to trade back up into the first round
I think he might still be available.
to get him.
We're clearly super prepared for this podcast.
Right?
everyone. Yeah, as far as I'm doing from my quick Google search, it's not popping up anything about him being taken already.
But anyway, by the time this is posted, you guys will already know
Something
if they
will have
traded
happened.
back up.
I do have to give a shout out to the Mile High Report. Journalist Scott Payne posted an article today at 2:19 p.m. and literally the headline is, "If Broncos trade back, tight end Noah Fant is the name to watch." So
That's exactly what
shout
they
out
did.
to you, Scotty. That was 100% accurate. That's gotta feel good. I feel like
Right?
it's a total crapshoot trying to call things accurately in the draft, and
Oh, yeah.
mad love to you, Mile High Report.
I'm just glad the Broncos traded back to build up more draft capital.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. I'm not mad about it.
who did you want them to take at 10?
I mean, Devin White, but I knew he was going to be gone.
Devin Bush was the guy.
Devin Bush was
Yeah.
who a lot of people were polling for. Yeah.
And that's who actually ended up going at 10 to the Steelers. So
Yep.
obviously the Broncos didn't want him.
Right, because he would have been there for them to take if they did want him. Moving on from the Broncos to the Colorado Avalanche. They managed to win their first series, round 1, and are moving on to round 2 against the San Jose Sharks. A lot of drama surrounding the Sharks and Golden Knights final game.
That was crazy. That was probably one of the craziest hockey games.
Social media is just like freaking out on all sides. I don't know.
I do think that was the reason the Knights lost. Not necessarily why the Sharks won. But
Yeah,
because
okay.
if it would have been called properly, which I've heard people say that, it shouldn't even be a penalty. Like, it should have been nothing. But because the argument is, cross checks happen all the time in hockey and, they don't get called very much. But still, a cross check is a penalty.
Yeah,
And looking
but
at
what
it,
is it called in hockey? A major penalty?
yeah. So with a minor
Yeah.
penalty, so if it was just called a cross check and it was a minor penalty,
Would have been 2 minutes.
2 minutes. If the Sharks score, penalty's over. With a major penalty, you're in the box for 5 minutes, no matter what happens. So
And then he was also suspended for another game, right? Had they gone on.
he was kicked out of the game. but
Oh,
I
okay, maybe
don't-
that was it.
I don't think he was suspended. So the Sharks had 5 minutes of power play, so they scored 4 goals in those 5 minutes of power play.
Oh, they scored 3 goals, and then
4
it went
goals.
into overtime.
So they were down 3-0 4 minutes later while they were still on the power play from the 5-minute major. Because if you score a goal, that doesn't matter for the power play.
Right.
They scored 4 goals in 4 minutes on the 5-minute power play. And then the Knights scored with about 40 seconds left in the game to tie
Oh,
it up.
okay.
So I think if that would have been called properly, the Knights would have won that game. But still, I don't think you should blame the refs because the Knights just completely crumbled.
And the reality of sports is like refs are human. They're gonna make bad calls. You that can't be what makes or breaks you. It can't. Like, you have to be able to rally and rise above and like.
When they were up,
I don't know the fact that they weren't able to neutralize them at all. Like, they got completely.
When they had a timeout too. Why
period.
didn't they call the timeout?
Yeah, and I mean, I think a lot of it is just being a new team.
But still, they're all old hockey players. It's not like they're brand new hockey players and hockey coaches.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, the fans are new, but the players and the coaches.
I know, and I feel for the fans. Vegas has never had a professional sport, and I have a lot of friends in Vegas. And they're really, really upset. And it's hard as, like, a seasoned sports fan. Like, I kind of feel for them, but I'm also like, welcome to being a sports fan. This is literally sports fandom 101. Being pissy at the refs. Feeling like you got robbed. Like, hello, welcome to the show. Like, this is part of it. It sucks. But it's reality.
Well, and they were up 3-1 in the series.
Well, and
so
the fact
should
that
have
they
won
tied
the game
it up,
even
and
before
they could have won it in overtime.
Yeah.
They had their opportunities, and they just weren't able to execute and make it happen. I would absolutely be frustrated as well. But you also, like, you have to take it and move on, and next season's going to be here before you know it.
Yeah, and I think this is probably the best scenario for the Avalanche. The Sharks are an older team, and they look like it. They
looked tired on the bench.
Like, they're still pretty quick, and they're a big team, but they're older, and coming off an emotional series like that, I think it bodes well for the Avs, who have had, by the time they play, it'll be, 6 days off?
Yeah, and I'm a little concerned that it's been too long. We had built up such an epic momentum, truly. I mean, they were playing with so much fire and feistiness that it is a little worrying, and it makes you wonder, will they be able to jump right back in and not have skipped a beat, or will they be a little sluggish to start because it has been a really long break?
And I think we'll know pretty quick in that first game. So I think both teams are going to start out pretty slow. I would bet it'll be 0-0 at the end of the first. And then the second period might ramp up a little bit, but I think it'd be important for the Avs to win that first game because the Sharks players, they're not going to be fully recovered from playing overtime and a very emotional 7-game series. So I think the Avs, it's not a must-win, but I think this is their best opportunity to win in San Jose is game 1.
If they can find a way to just literally pick up exactly where they left off, they could start things off so hot and ferocious that San Jose's freaking out right from the start.
I hope so. Because, the Avs will be well-rested, which I think will bode well for them, and they've been practicing all week. And I'm sure they're going to be a little bit rusty, but the Sharks are going to be a little bit tired too. So I think that'll cancel each other out.
So the Avs play game 1 of this second round in San Jose tomorrow, Friday night at 8 p.m. And then the second game is Sunday at 5:30. Really wish the NHL consulted Game of Thrones before scheduling a game at 5:30.
Yeah.
There's too much going on. Avengers Endgame. Playoffs, Game of Thrones.
That's what we're doing Sunday.
I can't emotionally handle all of this.
We're doing all 3 of those things Sunday.
I feel so excited about the Colorado Avalanche, and I'm really looking forward to.
How do you think the series is going to go?
I think we're going to win.
How many
it's
games?
Going to in 6.
6, okay.
I think the Avs will take it in 6.
That's what I think too. If it goes to 7, I don't see them winning in the Shark Tank in a game 7. So I think if they're going to win the series, it has to be in 6 because that'll be at home.
Yeah.
But I see them splitting the first 2 games in San Jose.
I mean, that they have to. I think they have to.
I agree.
Or take them both.
If they lose both, then they're in a situation where they have to win both home games, no matter what.
I don't know how they'll. I don't think they'll function particularly well under that specific type of pressure.
Well, the Sharks are scary because the trades they made and the signings they made in the offseason, they just put all their chips in for this season. So they are banking on winning the Stanley Cup this season. And I would love to be the team that actually knocks them out.
That would be glorious.
Right? Because they've been relevant for the last 5 or 6 years, but everybody's getting older.
Well, and
I think this is their last year to make
was
that
telling
push.
it all. I mean, all the wild card teams are still.
This has been the weirdest NHL playoffs I've ever seen.
That's what makes the Stanley Cup playoffs so special and weird and awesome. Nothing. If you can make it in, seeding is seemingly irrelevant. Like, all you need to do is get a seat at the table, get a spot in the playoffs, and then it's anybody's game. Absolutely anybody's game.
Well, if you look at the remaining teams, I think the 2 hottest teams right now are the Avalanche and the Blue Jackets, the 2 number 8 seeds.
I still just don't know what a Blue Jacket is.
Which is mind-boggling. Yeah,
I haven't taken the time to look it up, but...
What if it's Matt Duchene against the Avalanche in the Stanley Cup?
Oh, that's poetic. That's a movie.
I would love that.
That's good. That's interesting. Okay, we got to hustle along. Denver Nuggets, Game 6 tonight against the Spurs in San Antonio. We looked like they looked here in Denver during Game 5.
Yes, the game we went to.
Yes,
right?
sorry.
Yeah.
That was a little wordy. We went to Game 5 here at the Pepsi Center on Tuesday. The Nuggets just cleanly and effectively beat the Spurs.
Oh, yeah.
The Spurs seemed disoriented. They seemed just out of rhythm with one another. It was a little bit boring to watch towards the third and fourth quarters because
even after
we just had that consistent lead built, and it was clear by the style of play of the Spurs that they weren't coming back. And unfortunately, I feel like that's how the Nuggets looked tonight. Like, when we went down by, what was it? Like, the first time we went down by, 13, 14, 15 in the second half, the Nuggets' demeanor and energy on the court made me not particularly confident that they would have a chance at coming back.
They did take a lead towards the end of the first half, which was promising.
Did. Yeah, and then they came back.
So they were down 5 at halftime, which that's not terrible. But then the second half, the Spurs just took over. But they're at home, and they're the Spurs, so that shouldn't really surprise anybody.
I mean, it was definitely like an emotional game. Like, you could tell there was a lot going on with these players.
Well, it looked like the Spurs were fighting for their lives because it was an elimination game for them. The Nuggets just didn't have that intensity. They acted like they weren't going to be eliminated if they were going to lose this game.
And you can't. It is their first time in this situation, and unfortunately, that was obvious. Like, you have to play this game like it's an elimination game for you, just like it is for them.
Oh yeah, you got to ramp up the intensity in the playoffs.
Yeah, we could not match their intensity and their focus. Obviously going into this final game, which will be on Saturday here at home at the Pepsi Center, I think it's going to be an insanely good game. Just based on the highest points that both of these teams have demonstrated throughout the series, if they both show up to dominate, which I'm sure they will, I think it's going to be a really good competitive game. But I do think the Nuggets absolutely have the edge being at home. Just if. And I can't even put my finger on if what. It's just if.
Well, in Game 7s, there's so many different... There's so many different factors.
Unemotional.
And a lot of it is coaching in Game 7.
And if everyone just listens to Mike Malone and follows suit, I feel very confident. But these are some young guys.
But if everybody follows Greg Popovich, too.
Yeah.
On the Spurs.
Yep.
That's what I'm worried about. I think the Nuggets might get out-coached in Game 7.
It's very, very possible.
I think the Nuggets are going to win, but I think it's going to be a very intense game. I think it might come down to the last shot.
Whew.
Which would be exciting as long as they win.
And stressful.
I know.
So
The Spurs have had their glory. They need to just
so
like
many
back off and let us have our
big
glory for a
games
little
coming
bit.
up literally within the next handful of days. It's a lot. It's a lot, Denver sports fans. Then we've got our Rockies, who, thank goodness, are out of that really unfortunate start of the season slump that was just plaguing them and pitiful and painful to watch. They have been looking like the Colorado Rockies again, which has been very refreshing.
Yeah, because they started out, like 3 and disgusting or something like that.
What?
What was their... What'd they start out? 3 and 11?
Oh, something like that.
Yeah, and then they've won like 9 of their last 11, something like that. So I think they're like right at 500, maybe a game above. So they're climbing their way back up, which is promising. And the starting pitching, I mean, Gray and Marquez, they've been phenomenal so far this year. Freeland, I think he's still dealing with that blood blister that he got. So he's been kind of off the last couple weeks, but I'm not worried about him. I think we got 3 legit starting pitchers, 3 guys that could be aces on quite a few other teams. Now the 4 and 5 spots on the pitching rotation, that's what I'm worried about. Right now we have 3 elite pitchers and then 2 guys that have been garbage, basically. That's Bettis and Anderson. And Sensatella has come in and he's been fine, but he's only had like 2 or 3 starts.
Yeah.
But the bullpen has looked good. I mean, better than I thought they would. They're still letting a lot of guys on base, which is troublesome, but they're not really allowing runs, and the offense has finally picked up. What's crazy is I think David Dahl would be the MVP for the Rockies right now if he could stay healthy.
That's a big thing to say.
He's been easily the best offensive player.
He really has, hasn't he?
He's just made of glass, so he's been injured twice so far this year.
Yeah, and we are just getting started.
That's always been his issue, is injuries.
I would argue that Raimel Tapia's been more impactful in big moments than Dahl.
Because he's been on the field. and he's
Been
honestly, better than Charlie.
We've got to be there. Hey, but Charlie's picked things back up. He's been fine for the last week. Functional now. Like, he's getting some homers.
Him and Desmond, they've been fine the last week. Before that, they were both awful.
Let's just hope they stay on the up and up and just continue.
I think they'll be all right. My preseason prediction was 88 wins. I'm still kind of sticking by that.
Mine was we're going to the World Series. Right. Go big or go home, I suppose. But I mean, they're definitely looking better. They're not looking as good as I thought they were going to look, but baseball's real long. It's a real long season.
When Tony Walters, he's looked really good lately. He's been amazing. Really good. That weird, creepy mustache is just working for him. Daniel Murphy's back. Like, I have high hopes for the lineup. If Chuck can just be average, like we know David Dahl, if he can stay healthy, he's going to be great this year. Arenado's Story, we're not worried about them. They'll be fine. Yeah. Walters, if he can, like... Right now he's batting, I think it was like 295, 290, which he won't keep that up. But if he can be between 250 and 270, that would be perfect for a catcher. And then McMahon, if he can just keep doing what he's doing and with Murphy back, like I'm concerned about the offense, but if the pitching keeps doing what they're doing, I think the offense will be able to do enough to win games. Because this is the first season where I think the Rockies, if they can average 4.5 runs a game, they'll be fine. Previously, it was, 5.5 to 6 runs a game. Right. But with the pitching staff they have, their offense doesn't need to be the star anymore. But if they can just be average. They need to be present and accounted for, which they were not for weeks. If the offense can just be average, the Rockies should be a playoff team. All right. They just haven't been average so far. Which is
Pulling
weird.
for average.
Which is weird for being a Rockies fan.
Well, to sum things up, the Broncos traded back, got tight end Noah Fant from Iowa. The Avalanche extinguished the Calgary Flames in round 1, are moving on to round 2 against the San Jose Sharks. The Nuggets had a rough game in San Antonio tonight against the Spurs. We look forward to Game 7 on Saturday here at home at the Pepsi Center. And the Rockies offense needs to be average. So that's your quick summary of tonight's quick podcast. Like I said earlier, the full crew, Jordan, Gideon, Miles, and myself will all be podcasting on Sunday with a far more in-depth update on all of these fantastic Denver sports shenanigans we've got going on right now. We hope you are all enjoying the madness that is playoffs and the draft and the Rockies. So have a good evening. Thank you a million times for listening. We appreciate it so much, and we will catch you guys in a few days. Bye.
Peace.